Standard 5th, Subject EVS 1, Chapter 23, Infectious Diseases and How to Prevent Them. Dear students, can you tell when your friends fall while playing and get hurt? Does anyone tell you, don't go near them, you will also get hurt? No, nobody says so. If anyone is hurt while playing, we try to help them. Suppose your mother has a headache. Do you also get a headache if you go near her? Of course not. In fact, we help our mother and try to soothe her headache. When is it that you are told not to go near a sick person, not to use their utensils for eating or drinking, not to use their hankies, towels, or clothes? When there are chances of catching the disease of a sick person, others tell us not to use their utensils for eating or drinking and not to use their hankies, towels, or clothes. We are aware that there are chances of catching an infection in such circumstances. So let us learn about infectious diseases. Mother's burns or grandpa's backache are not passed on from them to others, isn't it? However, one has to take care to stay away from people who are ill with flu, cold, ringworm, scabies, chickenpox, etc. So, what are these diseases? Let's see. Influenza or flu is an airborne disease, and a person is often seen coughing or sneezing in this condition. Cold, on the other hand, is a viral infection of nose and throat. Ringworm is a fungal infection of skin or scalp. It is spread by skin to skin contact. Scabies is a condition in which the skin becomes very itchy. It is also spread by skin to skin contact. Chickenpox is highly contagious and it is a viral infection causing an itchy blister like rash on the skin. That means these diseases spread from one person to the other. Such diseases are called infectious diseases. Then a question comes to our mind. What about coronavirus disease? Yes, coronavirus disease, that is COVID 19, is also an infectious disease caused by a newly discovered coronavirus. So, what causes these diseases? They are caused by microorganisms. Every infectious disease is caused by a specific microorganism or germ. When the germs of a particular disease enter the body and begin to grow, the person gets the disease. How is one person's disease passed on to another person? When a person has a cold, the germs from his body spread in the air when he coughs or sneezes. When these germs enter other people's body, they can also get the disease. That is, the disease spreads. Typhoid spreads when its germs are passed on by a person ill with typhoid to another person. It mostly spreads through contaminated food or water. So, today we are going to learn spread of infectious diseases. What are the different ways in which infectious diseases spread? They spread through air, water, food, or even through insects. Let us begin with the first one, that is spread of disease through air. The germs of a disease like influenza are present in the spit or saliva of the person who has the disease. When he coughs, spits, or sneezes, they enter the air with the tiny droplets of saliva or spit. When other person breathes in that same air, the germ enter their bodies. Diseases of the throat and the chest spread through the air. For example, tuberculosis, swine flu, etc. That is why we are told to cover our nose and mouth whenever we cough or sneeze. Let's learn about spread of disease through water. What different activities are going on in the given picture? We can see a cattle is being bathed. Women are washing clothes. A boy has finished defecating. A man and a woman are carrying water for their use. Children are seen swimming and bathing. The germs of disease of the intestines like typhoid, cholera, diarrhea, as also of jaundice are present in the feces of the affected person. If the feces get mixed with water, the germs in it also enter the water. If another person drinks water which has been contaminated by these germs, they enter his intestines too, and that person can get the disease. To prevent the spread of disease in this manner, it is best to avoid washing clothes and bathing in the water sources or defecating on the banks of the water, etc. So, we should be careful with our daily activities with regards to cleanliness and hygiene. It is a responsibility to prevent the pollution of public sources of water. Now let's learn about spread of disease through food. Can you tell? What do you see in the picture below? We can see that food is left uncovered. Table is unclean because leftover food is lying there. Man serving the food looks unclean. And also rat is seen nibbling at sweets. There is lack of cleanliness all around. You may have heard a number of people getting gastro or diarrhea after eating contaminated food at a function. Diseases spread through food also. This is also called food poisoning. So you can see here a feast on an open ground. You have seen flies sitting on dirt. When they sit on the feces of a person who has an intestinal disease, the germs of the disease stick to their legs. When the same flies sit on our food, the germs enter the food. If we eat that food, the germs enter our body and we can get the disease. That is why it is important to always keep our food covered. Food is handled while preparing or serving it. If someone who has an intestinal disease handles or serves food without washing his hands properly, the germs sticking to his hands can enter the food. Food contaminated in this way can also cause disease. One must avoid eating it. Maintaining cleanliness everywhere is beneficial for our health. So, wash your hands clean and keep the food covered always. Can you tell what steps will you take to ensure that dust and flies do not settle on the food in your house? We can cover the food properly, isn't it? So that the dust and flies do not settle on the food and do not contaminate it. Keeping food covered also ensures that flies cannot sit on it, dust and other rubbish in the surrounding also cannot enter it. This prevents the microorganisms from entering the food and the spread of disease is also prevented. Now let's learn the spread of disease by insects. You may be aware that one can get malaria from the bite of a certain kind of mosquito. When this type of mosquito bites someone who has malaria, the malaria germs in that person's blood enter the mosquito's body with the blood it sucks. If this mosquito bites another person, the malaria germs enter that person's body too, and he too can get malaria. Insects like mosquito and fleas spread disease. That is why we must stop such insects from breeding. Breeding means increasing in number. New such insects are born and they get a place to breed where there is stagnant water. Spread of disease by direct contact. Ringworm, scabies are diseases that affect the skin. That germs are found on the skin. If someone else comes in contact with the skin of a person having this disease or wears his clothes, then that person can get that disease too. That is why it is better to avoid sharing clothes. Now let's learn about an epidemic of a disease. Germs of disease like the flu or conjunctivitis spread quickly through the air. So many people can get such diseases all at one time. If the water of a common source is contaminated by germs of a disease like cholera, then there is the danger of all those who drink that water getting the disease. If at some place mosquitoes breed in large numbers, then many people there can get malaria. When many people in one area get the same infectious disease all at the same time, we say that there is an epidemic of the disease. Right now, we are going through corona pandemic. So what is the difference between an epidemic and a pandemic? An epidemic is a disease that affects a large number of people within a community or a region, like epidemic of cholera, typhoid, whereas pandemic is an epidemic that spreads over multiple countries or even continents. Like the coronavirus is a pandemic. It has affected people all over the world. So this way there can be an epidemic of a disease. Air, water, food, and insects are the mediums through which diseases spread. Hence, if everyone takes care to ensure that the germs do not enter our food, water, or air, and to prevent the breeding of insects that spread disease, it is possible to prevent a disease from becoming an epidemic. For this, it is important for all of us to make cleanliness a habit. Now let's learn about prevention of infectious diseases. Can infectious diseases be prevented? Yes. So can you tell why should you not go to school if you have conjunctivitis? Okay, conjunctivitis is also called as pink eye. So why should one not go to school? Conjunctivitis is caused due to germs. These germs can spread from an infected eye to others' eyes also. We should not spread this infection to other children in the school. Moreover, our eyes too need rest. They should be taken care of. Hence, you should not go to school if you have conjunctivitis. To prevent diseases from spreading through water, it is purified at the waterworks. In smaller towns and villages, bleaching powder is added to community sources of water to kill the germs and make the water safe for drinking. When there is an epidemic of gastro or jaundice, people are advised to boil water before drinking it. To prevent mosquitoes from breeding, we must ensure that there is no stagnant water in the surroundings. Stagnant means not flowing water, still in one place. And since it's not flowing, it becomes dirty also and it starts giving unpleasant smell. So you should avoid such stagnant water in your surrounding because mosquitoes breed in such places. But if that is not possible, insecticides have to be used. Thus, diseases like malaria can be prevented. People who have a serious infectious disease like tuberculosis or swine flu are quarantined. Quarantine means kept away for a period of time from others to prevent spread of that particular infectious disease. Like right now, people who are suffering or infected with coronavirus are quarantined for a period of time. So, there are separate wards in hospitals for people with infectious diseases. Clothes and utensils used by the patients are washed with germicides. The spittle of a person who has tuberculosis is collected in a vessel and covered with a germicide like phenol. Such precautions help to prevent the disease from spreading to others. To prevent the spread of diseases through air, people should cover the mouth when sneezing or coughing and avoid spitting in the open. If it is necessary to be with such a patient, a mask should be worn to cover the mouth, to cover the nose and the mouth. If someone in the family gets an infectious disease, the government health department should be informed so that necessary steps for preventing the spread of the disease can be taken. So, if all these steps are taken, then infectious disease can be prevented. Now, let's learn about vaccination. When there is an epidemic of a disease, does every person in the area get the disease? No, not everyone gets the same disease. Why is that so? When disease producing microorganisms enter our body, the body resists the disease or fights with the germs first. That is why many times we do not get a disease even if germs enter our body. Another way to prevent disease is vaccination. Our body develops resistance to a particular disease if we are vaccinated against it. Soon after a baby is born, she is given the tuberculosis vaccine. When the baby is 1.5 months old, she is given vaccinations against diphtheria, whooping cough, tetanus, and polio. Two more doses of these vaccinations are given in intervals of 1 month. The vaccines for diphtheria, whooping cough, and tetanus are combined into a triple vaccine (DTP) and given as an injection. The polio vaccine, on the other hand, is given orally. Now, let's learn in detail about public health services and the facilities given by them. To prevent the spread of infectious disease and epidemics, health and community welfare programs are undertaken at the national level. Community programs for vaccination are also undertaken as part of national health schemes. Children are given the vaccines by trained people. Special camps are arranged for this purpose. Primary health centers have been established at the village level. There are also facilities like mobile dispensaries, ambulances, and a welfare fund for the disabled. Services like the examination of urine and blood, X ray, ultrasound, and other scans are also available through the health programs. Thus, patients can get the service they need without delay. People are also educated about the right methods of handling drinking water and food. They are urged to maintain cleanliness in the surrounding. It is now forbidden, means prohibited by law, to spit in a public place. The purpose of this ban is to prevent the spread of diseases. Mass media are also used for raising public awareness about health and hygiene issues. So you can see public awareness programs being telecasted on TV. Do you know? At one time, it was believed that diseases are caused due to the anger of gods, evil spirits, or due to black magic. The remedies prescribed for these were also inhuman. However, science has shown that diseases are caused by microorganisms, and these beliefs are false. Microorganisms are a kind of living things. All microorganisms do not cause disease. Some microorganisms are useful to us. They bring about the conversion of milk into yogurt and the fermentation of the batter for idlis, dosas, etc. Always remember, cleanliness, a balanced diet, and vaccination are essential for the prevention of infectious diseases. What we have learned. Diseases caused by microorganisms are called infectious diseases. Every infectious disease is caused by a specific microorganism or germ. Infectious diseases spread through water, food, or air by direct contact or through insect bites. If care is taken to prevent germs from entering the body, the spread of disease can be prevented. If many people in a place get a disease at the same time, it is called an epidemic. Vaccination is an excellent method of preventing disease. So, this way we have completed our chapter. Hope you have understood and gained knowledge on the topic infectious diseases and how to prevent them. Do read the chapter from your textbook for a better understanding. Stay safe, keep learning, and thank you.